Hi guys, today it's my turn to start the discussion. We're talking about infant attachment with their caregivers. Attachment is essentially when a child can form strong and healthy bonds to the person taking care of them, so their moms, their dads, their guardians. Um, Page 180 in our text states that there's three major components that are needed to facilitate healthy attachment. The first is forming a secure base, so kids find a secure base in their caregivers. This means that they feel protected and they're safe when they feel threatened or afraid in their environment. The second need is that the caregiver needs to be sensitive to their kids' needs. So when little Johnny falls and cries, mom's going to be there to pick him up and console him. That's what sensitive caregiving is. And also, another great point brought up in our book is that sensitive caregiving can also be when moms learn the difference between a hungry cry in their baby and a hurt cry in their baby, and the difference between the sounds of the cries. The third need is that strong attachment will presumably form strong, healthy attachment in later life and adulthood. So kids who start off being able to attach to their caregivers can then in turn form healthy relationships in adulthood and as teenagers. They form that trust and they're able to form bonds. And I think Eric Erickson also touches on this. It's not so much in the chapter, but we've learned about it, that trust versus mistrust is like the first or second step in his model. And if you can't move past mistrust and learn to trust people, then you're kind of stuck there in your social skills and your development. I think in America, usually Americans are really touchy-feely. I guess just in a general sense, the American culture is that when your kids fall, you are at their side and you're there to respond to them. We hug and we kiss and we show affection to our kids. And growing up, I've mentioned this many times as a Ukrainian, we are told to suck it up. And my sister and I, we were never allowed to cry, really, unless we were like bleeding profusely. We could not cry. We did not show emotion in this house. And that's changed now. I mean, now that we're older and grown and, that we understand how to express your emotions in good ways, positive ways. But yeah, growing up, we got the spoon. We went to go get the wooden spoon from the kitchen. We get a spanking if we didn't behave. And I think a lot of that's culturally rooted. My mom was never allowed to whine or cry, and in the rural part of Ukraine, which is where they're from, girls go to school through elementary school and then come back home and do domestic work and learn how to housekeep and stuff with mom or siblings, while the boys keep going to school. And then I think around like middle school maybe, boys come back and they become farmhands. And it's like that in a lot of places around the world, especially in Europe and Southeast Asia too is a lot like that. But anyway, girls didn't really... There's always this misconception in the U.S. that in countries where girls don't go to school, they stay home, that they do kind of wimpy work, care for babies and cook and clean. But in Ukraine, I mean, girls work the farm machinery, they take care of the cattle and the livestock. They do hard stuff. They do boy stuff, what we would categorize as boy stuff, coming home and working on the farm. And because of that, girls can't cry. You can't cry. You can't break down because work needs to be done and you're the one who needs to do it. So I never experienced that growing up because I'm second gen in the U.S., so, we didn't live on a farm and, stuff like that. I went to school, whatever. My mom and grandparents went through that. They know what that's like. And that's the stories I'm hearing. And plus, different, research through this class as well. My fiance, Trevor, his dad is very Southern, and when the kids acted up, they had to go outside and get the switch from the tree. And I don't know if any of y'all have, experienced that, but you get the switch, you come back in, and you're spanked with the switch, and it's basically just like a tree twig, not a branch, but so that's how they utilized punishment and how his dad gained respect in the family. And, they've gone through all that, but they've talked past it. Corporal punishment is not something Trevor and I will ever instill in our kids ever, especially not to that extent. It's not welcome in our home. But that's what he did to garner respect, and especially when the kids did something dangerous or if they just really acted out of line, that's what they got. And some of you guys might even have experienced, the spoon or the belt. And my point is that there's this upcoming wave of people who are completely anti-corporal punishment. It is not an option. It's not okay. Spanking's not okay. There's a whole debate about that, whether it's abusive or not to kids. And I'd really like to hear your guys' comments in your videos as to your opinion on punishment like that, on spanking or the spoon or whatever it is that you were punished with. I would love to hear your stance. Page 183 brings up how German moms don't neglect or abuse their kids, but they're not always responsive to their cries because they want them to learn independence at a really young age and to know that you need to stand on your own 2 feet. Mom's not always going to be with you. Whereas Japanese moms are always by their kids' sides and always respond to their cries because they want them to learn dependence, to learn that you can depend on other people in life. I think 2 main questions I have as, I wrap this up and we start discussing is, first of all, what is your stance on spanking, corporal punishment, discipline? Do you think it should be more verbal? Do you think it could be physical through spanking or timeouts? That's what I would like to know. That's question number 1. My second question is, if you were in a clinical setting and you are speaking with a family with different disciplinary values than yourself, how would you approach that? How would you approach that family? Through the text and through what I believe, I think it should be completely non-judgmental, unless, of course, it's an abuse situation, but, that's an outlier. I would like to know what you guys would do in that situation. Some of you are in grad school for counseling. I'd love to know what your approach to that would be. So good luck, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.